I'm Eric Stanley. I'm the associate director here at the museum and the curator of history. And I wanted to welcome Nancy Rogers, who's the chairperson of the annual Sonoma County Juneteenth celebration. And this is part of the museum. We've decided to do some programs that are kind of casual conversations that with people in the community around important events and important elements of history, and this is certainly one of those things. So we're really excited to be here. We're all adapting in this age of doing Zoom programs and virtual programs, but it's exciting for us to be able to do these kind of programs. So Nancy, we're really excited and pleased to have you here with us. So welcome to you. And I wonder if we want to start, just have you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your connection to the Juneteenth program here in Santa Rosa.
Like you said, my name is Nancy Rogers, and the MLK Juneteenth committee, I'm the chairperson at just one organization that I belong to. I'm also the treasurer of the North Bay Black Chambers of Commerce, and I'm on the board of the Black Forum. And I'm the president of Entrepreneurs of Tomorrow. It's a nonprofit organization that we give out scholarships to youth. And I also own Red Rose Catering. I have to throw that in there. And so I've been part of Juneteenth for probably over 25 years. You know, I have to look back at my kids and say, who was a baby back then when I started? But this organization picked up Juneteenth. It's been going on for 50 years. So students from junior college started it. You know, they wanted to do a community event, and they really was doing a protest, you know, because over at the Martin Luther King Park, really where it used to be not named South Park. And so they was going to put a road through there. And the junior college students said, no, we don't want a road through our park. And they was going to protest, but they needed a lot of people. So what best way to get people out there other than having food and free music? Music, food. So they invited the community out there, and then once everyone was there, they told them what they needed to do, and they did it. And so we still have the park, and they renamed it later on in the years as the Martin Luther King Park.
Oh yeah.
So each year on June, the third Saturday in June, we have the festival, and it just families and friends and music and kids activities and vendors, just having a nice day.
Yeah.
And we have speakers out there because we want the people to know what we're there for. You know, what does Juneteenth mean to our little kids, and you know, what are we really celebrating? You know, we're celebrating the freedom, you know, of people that was enslaved.
Yeah, well, that's the next question I was going to ask, which is, you know, people don't necessarily know what it is, and that's one of the things that we wanted to highlight here. In fact, the Smithsonian released a statement where they're like, well, Juneteenth marks our country's second Independence Day. You know, and although it's long been celebrated by African American community, the event remains largely unknown among, you know, most Americans, if you were to ask.
Yes.
So why don't we just do a quick, very brief thing about, you know, what it is and what its origin is, and
well, Juneteenth is the celebration of freedom of slavery. You know, back in what was it, 1865. You know, it is it is known as the oldest known celebration of the ending of slavery. Mm-hmm. You know. 1865 in Galveston, Texas, you know, African Americans didn't know they was free. They didn't know the proclamation had been passed 2 years before. Mm-hmm. And so when they found out, it was, you know, 2 years later. And so then the next year they started celebrating Juneteenth, you know, because it was June 19th 1865 when they found out. And then 1866 is when they did the first Juneteenth celebration. And so and it's been going on, especially down south, you know, out here in California, places, they didn't know about it. as much, especially small towns like here in Santa Rosa. But
Yeah.
in the city now, it's a huge celebration.
Right.
You know, huge celebration. Our Juneteenth here, it didn't start off as Juneteenth. It started off as the Martin Luther King Festival,
Okay.
because 2 years after Dr. King was assassinated, um, then the festival started, 1970, I think it was. And so then once his birthday became a holiday, and then the board members decided to, add the Juneteenth to it. Because there was a Juneteenth. Martell Perry started really the first Juneteenth in Santa Rosa. And that was in 1954. That was before I was born. But, yeah, and so they still celebrate Juneteenth on her property out there. But she was the first one that started. Her daughter Sydney is also on our board, also Juneteenth, yes. But she was the first one that started. And so from then on, we just started celebrating it and just having people come together and talk about Juneteenth, and then just have a celebration, just enjoying yourself,
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Well, it's kind of interesting. I mean, you're in describing the history too. It's a little bit about, like you're saying, that the slaves didn't know. It's a little bit about freedom delayed, in a way, right? And isn't that kind of a long theme that's kind of a part of this?
Because when you look at it, when you're saying freedom delayed,
Yeah.
still delayed.
Right. Yes.
I mean, when you look at, after, the Civil War, what we had, a lot of the imprisonment, the Jim Crow law, mass incarceration, which, oh my God, I was on yesterday and I was thinking about it. I was saying in 1866, and here is 2020.
Yeah.
What is that, 155 years or so? And the same thing that they was protesting, dying for, we're doing the same thing today. Something is with this picture. I mean, we haven't grown at all in all of those 155 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I really believe in really a higher spirit. And I believe that this right here is going to be a change. People are waking up to it. Not only Black people's, white people's, Asian people saying something got to change.
Yeah.
155 years, it's really more than that. That's just the freedom of slavery, but it's probably way more years than that before the proclamation.
Well, right. And one of the interesting things is, like, I mean, kind of like you're pointing out, probably the meaning of that celebration has changed, and it takes on different themes or importance at different times, because you're talking about its founding in the 50s, and wasn't that really kind of the time when the community kind of established itself here in Santa Rosa? Because that would have been after the war, and people who were maybe working in the shipyards or whatever were coming up and establishing that community, and then you get the Community Baptist Church and kind of that history. So right. So
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's so it sounds like it took a delay then. So it was established in 54, but then it got going. So you're saying this is the 50th. Are you saying that this is the 50th anniversary of the consistent run of the?
Yeah. Well, let's step back, because the celebration, we really have two celebrations here in Sonoma County. We have Ms. Perry's celebration, which the community support both celebrations.
Yeah.
And she started it in 1954. And so, but our celebration started off as the Martin Luther King festival, and then we just added Juneteenth to it and made it. Miss Perry's is more like a celebration, and ours was more like a festival with vendors and all of that, But both are still going on, and the community support both. Yeah. So hers way, if you look at backdated hers, it's like what, 66 years for Miss.
Yeah, right.
And 50 for us, So,
right. Yeah. Well, how did you? I mean, well, maybe you covered that already, how you initially became involved in it or became the chairperson or?
Well, I was involved in it years before I became a chairperson. I'm from Arkansas, real
Mm,
small town, Wilmot, Arkansas, and I came out here in 70, what was it, 77. And I believe that if you live in a community, you got to be a part of that community.
yeah.
And so that being part of that community is joining organizations and trying to make the community a better place. And so my husband, he was one of the first ones to be at the Juneteenth. He was part of the junior college students.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so when I got to know him, he was involved in it, and so I was involved in it. And then there's an organization called the Elks that he was part of. They took it over at one point
Mm,
as a nonprofit. You know, it went through several different nonprofits, and then that's when we really got involved in it, and
yeah.
been there ever since.
Yeah. Well, this is quite the, I mean, on so many levels, then this is quite an amazing year for the event, right? Because, I mean, of all the different things, do you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on this year and kind of what makes it, you know, special or different or challenging even, I'm sure, as an organizer to do it, so.
Well, it's very challenging. You know, when we had our first meeting, first of the year, you know, I thought the board member was going to say, hey, let's just cancel it. Because I did search online, looking at other Juneteenths in the cities and different, and they just canceled it all together. But the board member said, no, let's do Zoom. You know, Zoom is new to me. I said, Zoom, how's that going to work? You know,
Right, right.
we can work it out. And so we know a person that knows it, Zoom pretty well. So what we did is we created a program just like would if we was out in the park. You know,
Yeah.
we have the minister said a prayer, we sing the song, Lift Every Voice, and then we have a speaker. We have a great speaker from Sonoma State that's gonna speak. And then we have like Cindy, Miss Perry's granddaughter, Cindy, they have a choir, prayer chapel. They're gonna sing. We're gonna have, I'm gonna talk a little bit about entrepreneurs of tomorrow. We're gonna have a remembrance of the past people that passed on, you know, and we're gonna have non-budget righteous band sing. So it's gonna be a full program, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
My stepdaughter Tina Rogers is going to do a kids program, and then we're gonna stop and do some Zumba.
There you go. Got to get in your fitness on.
I know, okay.
For sure.
Zumba, okay. Also, World Ballet. It's a Black owner, New World Ballet. They're gonna perform. I think, yes, they're gonna perform. So overall, it's gonna be kind of like it is in the park with the same kind of schedule, but it's gonna be on Zoom. And so no, this is on Zoom. So everything may not go right because everyone is at their house. Okay, it's time for you to go on. And they say, what? Me?
Oh, we know. Yeah, we've had a few of those. So.
It's going to be very challenging, but I think that if everyone just relax and just have fun and enjoy the music and enjoy the activities, it'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that sounds great. And what are some of your thinking back over all the years and the celebrations? What are some of the things that stand out for you that were in past years, or particular meaningful moments, or things that you like the most about putting it together or doing this event?
Bringing us together.
Yeah.
You know, it's just amazing at the Juneteenth event. You see people that you haven't seen since the last event.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and more African American people's come out than I didn't know we had this many people here. You know, I'm talking about African American people, but they come out and they celebrate and they just talk, and you know, it's just bringing people together, bringing kids together, you know, and just enjoying the time, you know.
Yeah.
So this is what it's supposed to be like, you know.
Right. Unifying for. Well, where do you stand on any thoughts about getting this made into a national holiday? Do you guys take on that?
We haven't, but that's something that we need to pick up. But I think what it is, 49 states, it's already,
Yeah, it's a lot of states that recognize it.
but
Almost.
about it, is it really recognized as a holiday? I don't think it's recognized, even California here, I don't think it's recognized as a holiday.
Yeah.
And so I've been seeing more emails coming over my desk saying this should be a national holiday. And it
Yeah.
should be a national holiday,
Yeah.
But it's like the Martin Luther King birthday, People have to get used to it, especially white people. I got a call the other day. I was coming out the bank and I was sitting in my car. I got a call from this lady, and she said, she's a white lady. She said, I saw your flyer about Juneteenth. I never heard of Juneteenth. And then I did some research, and it's just amazing. I just never heard of that. I said, yeah. When you can Google online, and you can get a lot of information. And there's a couple of books out there. One of them called Come Juneteenth. That's really a good book. So you can read about it and see what's going on. And then when you start really thinking about it, what it boils down to is just pure fairness,
Yeah.
Just because this color, one layer of skin color makes that much difference, it shouldn't be. When you peel back the skin, we all got the veins and all the same color. And so that's what people really need to understand. It just shouldn't be. In my family, I told my family when we are together, and I said, I guess we are the ones going to be changing the world, because here's my Hispanic granddaughter, here's my white granddaughter. We just got a rainbow of colors of people in my family. Kids calling me Asian kids calling me grandmother, and I'm answering, and that's what it's all about. God made all of us,
Right. And yeah, I feel like it should be a national holiday. If there's we talk so much about the Civil War. There are people who do reenactments. There are people who do, what is the thing to celebrate out of that other than that? To me, that's
right.
Like I said.
Well, it needs to be, to me, what started going to change is the kids is growing up. And if they don't read about this in school,
right.
If they know about this in school, other than just in the house, and then how would they know? Because we want more than our Black kids to know about it.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take more than just them to change the world. It's going to take all colors to help change the world and the mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Where can people go to find more
information
about that, and what should they do? And it's coming up on Saturday, right? So we're talking about Saturday.
It is on Saturday, and we have a website. You could go to www.sonomacountijuneteenth.com, and it's gonna ask you to register. And once you register, then you'll get your ID and your password to go on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. And so just real quick again. So you're gonna you're going to kind of do a Zoom version, but you're going to kind of have musical performances and all kinds of different things.
Right. Yes. Some of it's going to be live, and some of it's going to be pre-recorded.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
And so I think one of the bands going to be live. Maybe the choir is going to be live, and then and some going to be pre-recorded. And the same thing with the speakers. Some of them going to be live, and some are going to be pre-recorded.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so it's just the 2.5 hours of just listening and
listening and learning. That we hope.
Learning, yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, anything else you'd like to touch on or mention, or do we cover?
Just thank you for given me an opportunity to come over and talk about Juneteenth, because it really is an important date to celebrate, but people need to really go and learn more about it, as
Absolutely.
you're talking about. And so the more people learn, the more better understanding they'll get.
Right. And that's what, as the museum, I think that's what we really want to do, is to be able to get information out and teach people about history. Because as you say, it's so important. If you don't know the history of it, well, where are you? And you really need to get everybody to see that. And
right.
So I think it's wonderful. And so thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate your time and was really excited to kind of learn more about it. So
all right, thank you
very much.